Stop actively pinching your shoulder blades together in the bench press. Leave that in 2020. What's going on, everybody? It's good to see you guys again, and it's been a long time since we've had a nice sit-down chat like this, Instagram TV style. But with the end of the year coming pretty soon, I found myself inspired to pass on some of the more game-changing information that I've come across throughout all the mentorships, readings, and YouTube videos that I've had a great opportunity to really indulge myself in throughout a lot of the stay-at-home and lockdown closures in California. So this concept that I'm going to share with you guys today is honestly one of the most groundbreaking and game-changing concepts that I've come across personally in my powerlifting career. And it's something that I'm just excited and eager to spread and get in front of more people. Personally, this was introduced to me by my coach, Steve DeNovi. It's something that we started implementing in my bench press technique pretty much from day one, and it's helped me get rid of all of my pec minor and shoulder discomfort issues that have plagued me for really the last couple of years. And also, my bench press has just been soaring with this new technique. So that's honestly why I'm really excited to get it out there. I have heard a lot of people talk about it more recently, especially people with bigger followings than I, but sometimes it can be explained with more PRI-esque terms like compression, expansion, stuff like this. So I kind of want to come at it from the perspective of just muscles and position of tissue. And hopefully this can kind of add a little bit more pieces to the puzzle as this concept kind of snowballs and becomes a little bit more mainstream. And as I kind of gave away with the hook statement that I made at the beginning of this video is going to be about stopping the active shoulder retraction or pinching together of the shoulder blades during the bench press. There's a lot of speculation as to how this started. The industry does tend to be a bit more retraction or pinching the shoulder blades heavy, especially with new personal trainers as they come out trying to improve people's posture and whatnot. Also, it could have something to do with just the old style of powerlifting where people wore these massive, tight canvas suits, and it's a lot tougher to get the bar to touch your chest than just a raw bench press. So sometimes you have to actively cue retraction and really tucking the elbows in to get the bar to touch. But for raw powerlifting, and honestly just like a raw bench press in general, no matter if you're a powerlifter or just a field sport athlete, whoever's doing a bench press, it's probably going to be a bit more technically efficient to not actively retract your shoulder blades. So if you're thinking to yourself now, okay, Joel, why shouldn't I do that? Well, if you think about it from the position or from the perspective of muscles and tissues, you're actually actively deleveraging a lot of the muscles that greatly contribute to making the humerus, your upper arm bone, adduct horizontally and lock out your bench press. So if we think about it from the perspective like maybe your triceps, everybody loves to get big triceps. Even if you don't know a whole lot about biomechanics or the human body, you could probably guess that the triceps contribute quite a bit to your bench press as they extend the elbow. So the tricep actually originates just below the glenoid fossa of the scapula, which then articulates to your humerus and also inserts to your ulna. So if you actively pull back your scapula, you're deleveraging one of the main contributors to the bench press, which is your triceps, because the long head of your triceps is now being lengthened away from the elbow that's trying to extend. Now that we got a muscle that a lot of people are really familiar with out of the way, I think it's important that I underline and exaggerate just how important the scapula bone is. This bone's position on the upper body greatly influences what muscles are going to be highly leveraged and which ones are not going to be very leveraged at all. So when we are bench pressing, one of the main movers in it is going to be the pec, or the pectoralis major. The pectoralis major's job is to internally rotate and horizontally adduct the upper arm bone. Now, along with this are a number of synergistic muscles, or muscles that aid the pec major in doing this movement. Some of them include the serratus anterior, the anterior deltoid, the pec minor, the subscapularis, and all of those muscles that I mentioned that are synergistically aiding the pec major connect to the scapula in some way or another. A lot of them are going to connect to this position here, which is the coracoid process. And so if we're actively pulling this back, we are deleveraging these important synergistic muscles, which should be leveraged concentrically and aiding our bench press with the pec major. Now, hopefully you're thinking to yourself, okay, if I'm not supposed to smash my shoulder blades together, then how am I supposed to set my upper back to be nice and tight during a bench press? Well, if you're an athlete, honestly, if you're going to be doing a little bit of retraction, I really don't think that's going to be much of an issue, as long as you're actively moving into protraction, or moving your arm forward and letting your scapulas kind of glide on your upper back, and moving in and out of internal rotation, external rotation, and just getting a full range of motion here. But if you're a power lifter, your scapulas are already going to be in a position of relative retraction with your arch. No matter the degree of arch, you're going to be moving them into retraction. So in order to kind of use those concepts that we talked about just now, one of the first things I would start at is if this is comfortable for you and this is something you're willing to change in your bench press, is internally rotating your hand so that the bar sits between your pointer finger and your thumb and the meatiest part of your hand. This is called the bulldog grip. If you've never heard of the bulldog grip, I strongly recommend you go and look that up on YouTube to find a tutorial about it. It really helps to bias the position of our upper arm bone to really recruit a lot of the pec fibers by internally rotating the humerus. So when I come down here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, bulldog grip, hands are internally rotated, and I'm going to set up on my upper traps and the back of my neck so that my rib cage is flared up and closer towards the bar. And when I unrack my barbell, I want to make sure that I'm keeping my elbows straight and locked out, not slightly flexed, just to really reinforce this new position of the scapulas, and my feet are constantly pushing forward so that my arch stays nice and high. So when I come down and bring the bar to my chest, I'm actively bringing my chest to the bar. I'm letting my elbows drop straight down, not this whole retracted pterodactyl, like pulling your elbows in, just straight down, as everything I'm doing is really reinforcing this position of my chest so that I don't have to actively retract my scapulas. Now, I realize that was a pretty quick tutorial to how to set up your bench press while using these new techniques and concepts that we talked about. But honestly, if you need to really customize it to the way you set up, it's going to take some trial and error and also a little bit of experimentation. If you're looking for a video that has a lot more to do and much more in depth with setting up your bench press and really optimizing it for yourself, obviously I'm going to, recommend my coach, Steve Denovi, at PR's Performance, or if you go on YouTube, it's PR's Performance. And really, there's just a lot of great ones out there. And so I don't really feel the need to get super into depth with it here, but those are how I personally use it. I'm constantly pushing forward on my toes with my toes facing as straightforward as I can so that it pushes myself back into my traps and upper neck a bit more while actively reaching my chest out and bringing my elbows straight down. This is going to help my scapula stay in that relatively retracted state while not overly retracting, and really help me leverage more of these muscles that should be leveraged during the bench press. I hope you guys all learned something. Thank you so much for listening to me talk for a few minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, hopefully talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and hopefully I might talk to you guys a little bit more about some of the concepts that I learned soon. Take care.